So welcome everybody. I am absolutely thrilled. I'm Fiona Clark, the Zenergizer, for those of you who don't know, but most of you do. So we are so happy here because Jill is going to talk to us all about food, and I don't know what else. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Jill, and I'm sure we'll ask you some questions at the end of it. So you can carry on.
Thank you very much, Fiona, and for offering this to me this evening. And thank you everyone for being there and who may listen later. And how to change your life without upsetting you. No, that's not what it is. Anyway, I will first tell you how I got into this many years ago. But I decided I had to really change my life. I've been in the catering business for years and years and years, and corporate events, well-known and not so well known, you know, and had to move premises. And I thought, what am I getting out of this? Meaning, you know, it could run on its own, it didn't need me. And in the end, I had various health challenges that I wasn't really thinking about then, but then I sold the business, which took me a while to get over, because it's a bit of ego stuck in, and you know, it was a well-known company, and I will say it was the best thing I ever did, but it did take a while to get over. But basically, I decided I needed to lose weight once and for all. I was always overweight, always food addicted, have Sunday lunch, 3 courses, couldn't wait to get home because I was still hungry. I've never been short of food, but it's, you know, getting the right balance in whatever you eat and to stop that addiction. And I didn't realize, of course, it was an addiction. I just never understood what was going on. But anyway, at the time I had fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, lumps and bumps, which, was it as serious or not? We don't know. But eventually, once I started changing my life, things began to change. Basically, I got into food combining, not mixing carbohydrates and proteins. And I hadn't become vegan at that time, but we're talking, it was 1990 when I started changing. And then a couple of years later, I decided that I was going to lose weight. And as I say, not mix carbohydrate and protein. So I was in Portugal by this time, living there full time. And I decided that when I was at home, I wouldn't have any form of meat, including fish, chicken, you name it. And, but I would have it when I went out with vegetables. And when I was home, I'd just have carbohydrate and vegetables, i.e., in those days, potatoes, but I've learned a lot since then. Potatoes are not a favorite for the body. Yams, sweet potatoes, etc., they're fine. But sorry, everybody. Potatoes, I found were causing problems like dairy. Anyway, I was changing my life and I was losing weight. It was working well. Food combining really is for everybody. It's not everyone to lose weight. And I find people, once you're on it, much easier on the digestion. It's made such a difference. No, I'm not perfect and things are mixed, but in those days, I found I was giving things up. I noticed also that once I wasn't eating so much meat, and when I decided I wasn't going to go back to meat of any form, I noticed I wasn't getting so short-tempered or bad-tempered, always answering back in a negative way. And I thought, this is interesting. So I gave all that up. At the same time, I did give up alcohol. It was mainly because I was getting the hangover straight away. Not tomorrow, but straight away, and I'd have it all evening. So I tested different drinks and it was the same. So I thought, I'm not meant to drink alcohol. And also that's much easier on the liver. And I've met various people recently, people I don't know very well, who gave it up because they found they were having similar problems or just felt they didn't really like it. And I have had different standards of alcohol in my catering business. So it's not as if I've had the worst stuff in my life, but I then realized I wasn't that interested. And you can still have fun without it. Though many people often say, oh, but I want fun. Well, I've had fun on just water, so don't worry about it. But anyway, and so then I started doing that, and then I was beginning to eat more vegetables, and I did that for about 6 months, and I lost in UK terms 4 stone, about I've forgotten in pounds. I should know it. I've had a blank on it at the moment, but anyway, I lost a lot of weight, and it made all the difference. And then I got involved in nutrition, and but first with aloe vera juice, and I started drinking that regularly. And at the beginning, I drank about 5 liters a month, which is quite a lot, but it's now down to 1 or 2. But that was years ago, about 25, 26 years ago. But that changed my life. It helped me so much. But I work a lot with greens, and I wasn't doing that at the time. So that could have made a complete or even faster difference. But as we all, or when I work, I like to work with some experience, at least, not all health challenges. But I feel I've had some experience in that. And so then they gave us a nutrition course, which was fantastic. And then I decided I need to study a bit more. And then I ended up at Hippocrates Health Institute in Florida. I heard them speak in England, and they were talking food. And I thought, in those days, nobody was teaching food. Now there's too much, it's a bit confusing, but I was very fortunate and decided that I needed to go out there and do the training. And I went as a paying guest first. I was fortunate to be able to do that at the time. And of course, rate of exchange in those days was very different to today. You know, you got 3 or 4 times the amount for your UK sterling. Of course, you don't appreciate it at the time. Now it's very different, sadly. But anyway, I'm very glad I went. Then I went back and did the training. And I've been back regularly to teach there, work there, mostly voluntary, but it's made such a difference having worked with so many people with different health challenges. Now, originally Hippocrates Health Institute was started by Anne Wigmore, who is someone who set up a place for cancer. And she healed herself. She's got quite a history, but then it was taken down to Florida. It used to be Boston. So the weather was cold, very cold, I believe, and went down to Boston, went down to Florida. And so that's where I went and trained. And I met so many people with so many different serious health challenges, whether it's stage 4 cancer or whether it's MS, diabetes, people on insulin. I've seen big changes. Now, what they do is they were working on what I call more the green program, a lot of vegetables, things like wheatgrass, if anybody probably does know about that, wheatgrass juice, green vegetable juices, green vegetable protein juices, not fruit other than lemon or lime. And it was not having too much sugar. They get that through their vegetables. And then meals, salads and things, some cooked or dehydrated but taste cooked. It can actually be quite exciting when everybody when it's made for you. And it even changed. I thought when I got there, everything had healed. Well, I tell you, every year gets easier. Okay, I haven't been back there for 2 years and don't know if I'll be getting back there, but I stayed with friends after a while. and met a very good team of friends who'd all worked there at the time or in the past. And it really helped me. And, you know, some people come in and they want to get well. Some people are not so sure about it. Some people are sent there by their family. And of course, they haven't chosen to go there. But it was, when I was there, it was a beautiful place. And I was very fortunate. But then from then on, I started teaching food, linking it with nutrition. And I've always said I'm very fortunate to have gone there first, because there can be so much food out there. I could have gone with the chef's hat on, looking for a school. There are a few schools that do raw, plant-based, living foods or cooked, whatever, but it's too gourmet, which of course most of the food we presented in the catering was more gourmet, because it's a treat for whoever's presenting it to their clients, trying to impress their clients when they're trying to do a good deal. And food seems to help sometimes, and whatever else comes with it. So I'm really glad I went there first, because had I gone to a school that did beautiful gourmet style food, I'd have thought, well, as one person said, I wouldn't like it. Having taught me at Hippocrates, she said, you wouldn't like it, it'd be too rich. You'd find it too much. And so I never really got into that side. And with my background, it didn't seem necessary. And so then I started working with people who had serious or non-serious health challenges, and whether they needed to lose weight, gain weight, reverse stage 4, or they've just been diagnosed. And as I always say, it's not just about the food they've been eating, it's what's going on with the emotions. And, you know, a lot of us do hang on to the past. And, you know, to me, you can't change the past. You can only work in the present. And then whatever's present goes towards the future. But if we just hang on to the past, well, we all know it's happened to all of us. And so I just tell them to think about it. You know, the diagnosis might be yesterday, but it didn't arrive yesterday. If you get a cold or flu, just because you're sitting in a draft didn't mean the cold came then. It didn't help, but it's usually the body's just exhausted and suddenly it just needs to rest. Flu, all of it. I don't get colds nowadays, haven't had them for well over 20 years. Flu I only had twice in my life. I just remember that ache, but it's well over 35 years or so since I've had flu. I think both was in my catering time, overworked. But we loved what we did. I mean, the company was wonderful and the staff were fantastic, but you still feel guilty if you're not working or taking time off. And so anyway, so then having gone and eventually became vegan, which is probably nearly 25 years now, fully, as far as the food is concerned. I became vegan to the best of my ability. I don't get upset if I find something's been in something. I think it makes you more tense. So it's about relaxing and getting on with your life. Food is just a small part of the whole thing. It's what Fiona teaches, or yoga, or meditations. All that is part of all of it. When I was at Hippocrates, food was just part of it. We had lectures on NLP, as I call psychology, etc., etc. And it was all part of it. And people really worked out what was going on in their lives. So with the food nowadays, there's so much going on, and there's so much out there, and people all suddenly becoming vegan, which is wonderful. I think it's fantastic. But we do need advice. We need guidance. Just because it's vegan, vegetarian, raw, or the whole food program doesn't mean it's healthy. And I can see Shabari laughing. And but it's true, because a lot of people are just living on foods that are comfort style foods, which we can nowadays are being called junk food. But whatever you're eating, we need vegetables with it. We need things like that. Now at Hippocrates Health Institute, I was taught about growing or buying, whichever thing, growing sprouts and legumes, etc. You would sunflower greens. Sadly, I have none to show you today, but if we do another presentation and it's warmer, then I'll be in the kitchen and but I've got none today. But sunflower greens, which grow about that size. In UK, we use Akenbury sprouts, but in America, I use got sprouts who ship all over the US. And I worked in 2 or 3 other places in different parts of US, and I just had them ship that stuff to wherever I was teaching. And so one can always go onto their sites and have a look. But sunflower greens, which are protein, pea greens, which are protein, which will grow that size, wheatgrass juice, which is for drinking, not eating. We wouldn't be able to, we can't break it down. It is complete proteins, including B12 and B17, if it's been grown with soil. Then things like lentils, mung beans, azuki beans, not red beans, I said, and various other beans, legumes, we will soak them overnight and germinate them. Once they're germinated, they become a digestible protein. Different forms of protein, so to be just low, depending which ones, because they've got such wonderful benefits. And things like that you get used to, they grow quite quickly. It's all depending how you do it. I mean, even chickpeas or garbanzo beans, those sprout as well. That's much easier on the digestion.
So Jill, can I just ask you quickly? So you're saying about the beans. So, I mean, I always get dry chickpeas and I soak them and I make them into hummus. Or you can't get tahini at the moment, girls. Apparently it's out. All Sainsbury's haven't got any tahini.
So I think they're in the health food shops, I think.
I need to go somewhere else, yeah, but apparently it's out of stock until God knows when. But anyway, apart from that, so you're saying that when you actually soak them, you let them grow to sprout before you cook them?
Wait,
sprout them.
You soak them overnight in plenty of water.
Yeah.
Okay? And what you're releasing is the enzyme inhibitors and basically the dirt in basic language, okay? We soak everything, nuts, seeds, all that sort of thing. But then we take them out of the water, rinse them, drain them, and then it depends. You can put them in a jar, or I'm better with little sieves, and I have different ones and pile them on top. They're different ways of sprouting. And then I let them germinate, covered with a towel, okay? And then I rinse them every night, or depending how hot the country is, you might have to do it twice a day. But normally I just do it once a day and let them germinate. And so it depends. I mean, my kitchen, I don't put heating on in there because I've always got so much vegetable sitting around and I don't want it to go off quickly. And I don't find it's necessary anyway. And then some germinate just a little bit, depending what we're doing. But the beans only germinate a small amount, okay? And then they're easier on the digestion. Chickpeas actually are the most difficult ones to digest when you first start changing. And but I've made a very creamy hummus with it, and I haven't cooked them, okay?
Yes, I have actually done that. So another question for you there with the red beans, and I've heard this before, you're referring to kidney beans?
Yes.
And are you
Do not-
referring, right, okay, so you're saying do not eat them at all?
Officially, we shouldn't eat them at all.
Yeah, because they've got some toxin, is that correct? That they are full of toxins. Okay, can I just ask you, so is also, do you count black beans into that? Because they're not red, I know, but do you add that into that?
Black beans, and then there's another one, black. Oh,
What about aduki beans and
Azuki beans are fine. Those are absolutely fine. If you can get them, and not all of them germinate, because Monsanto got into that. And so sometimes I've even soaked the whole bag, which is usually a kilo in my language, is because they sprout from their own heat and their comfort together. And I find they're the most difficult ones at the moment. They're not all working. But everything else has been fine in my experience. I mean, I do get a lot from not got sprouts, I can't. In America, I would. I get them from Akenbury sprouts, or Planet Organic, I get them from. So in the UK. And, but it's just learning to do them. And actually eating them raw is very nice. But I often make things with them. I've made hummus with the azuki and with the mung beans, or I've made different things. And there's, but you don't want to grow them too high or green. They have different benefits. So it's quite interesting. I'll show, if I have some next week or the week after, or whenever I see you, I'll try and just show them. But it's amazing how they change your whole life, in my experience. But it's just getting used to doing these things, because people say, oh, it takes too long. No, if I'm traveling and I'm coming back, I just soak them, and then the next day I drain them, rinse them, then put them into their little containers, not too big because they need to be touching each other. And then I pile them on top, or you can have them in the jars, or there's so many different things one can use. And then I just cover it with a towel, and it varies. Sometimes they're sprouted in 2 days or less, and other times it just depends. And I don't find the cold makes a big difference. Well, not when I do it anyway, but it does vary from obviously the cold in different countries. But I use that. I also put it in, I've thrown it into my green juices that I make. But the one thing you've got to learn with any foods is learn to chew properly. Because most of the time we don't. Or we're busy half on the phone, half this, half on Zoom, or we're, I try not to eat on Zoom. I might have the odd drink, but i.e. a green or drink or a herbal tea, but I try not to eat on there. Otherwise I get into a habit of it. What else? So that has made such a difference. So it's, I've got to soak it all tomorrow because I've run out. But it's adding these different things. Then, but if I don't have all the sprouts for my juice, because the juices I make, I have got on my website under recipes, ones I suggest at the moment. And I've got to start adding more to that. I have someone who does it for me. I'm not very good adding things to the computer. I might be on there a lot, but never mind. But it's good whenever you start these things, it starts slowly. But what I find when I'm drinking my juice, I've got protein in there. The greens are your protein. Your greens have got the calcium, magnesium. They've got so much in there. As far as I'm aware, I'm fine on calcium, and it's coming from my greens through drinking slowly, not too quickly. So that side's very important. Like anything, when you change, the body goes through a cleansing process. And whether you lose weight, need to lose weight or gain weight, even if people are too thin, sometimes you'll just lose a bit to start with, because sometimes there's a blockage and the body just needs to change. Many years ago, my first visit actually at Hippocrates, there was someone from Australia and she was so painfully thin, had cancer. And for me, it was very hard to look at. And then I didn't really bump into her once, I think, but didn't really see her other than that in 3 weeks, because you're all so busy doing different things. And then I heard her voice on the last day, and I turned around and I couldn't believe it. She'd put on weight. She said she got frightened at first because she did lose to start with, but it made such a difference to her. And it's just going that one step and taking the things slowly and changing. So when people do start doing that here, or wherever you are, and you're doing it at home, start with the juicing anyway, is started at a weekend, because you're cleansing the whole body, and you just might have to pop into the tiny room. And but then, you know, I'm not running all the time now. I've been drinking the juice for years. Freshly made is always best, but how you make it and how many days you make it for is up to you. I've made a load today, and I used to do it every day, every morning, to drink it twice a day. Some people make it twice a day. It's a form of meditation, as a friend of mine from India said. And once you get into it, you feel it's great. I mean, I made about 3 liters today, and you know, I did in less than an hour. Now, I didn't have everything that's, I didn't have any of the sprouts, I didn't have any of the sunflower greens, pea greens, but I support local farmers markets, London farmers markets, where I am. But you look up local farmers markets, and I buy leaves from a company called Wild Grown Organics, or Wild Country Organics, always call them the wrong name, but anyway, and they've got wonderful leaves like bok choy, a whole range of those things. And I usually buy them each Saturday. And then I put 50% of my glass, or however much I make, is going to be my protein from all the greens. And then I would add the cucumber and the celery. And when I buy the celery at the farmer's market, it's got all the leaves on at the top as well. How you should buy celery. But you won't get that in your local supermarket. It's all trimmed and they only show the white bit. So, and that's, you know, basically what I do. But we're back to, and with everyone who's been starting veganry, I mean, I think it's wonderful what they do in this month. I think it's lovely, but it'd be lovely if they continue. As someone said at a meal I was at the other day, they eat meat, but they'll do vegan maybe once a week, or it just depends, or if they're meeting friends somewhere and it's a vegan meetup, they'll go on it, but they're not there yet. And it's not always knowing what to do, you know, but it's adding your vegetables of all rainbow colors, but the greens are very important and very beneficial. Any questions at the moment?
Do you have the same, when you juice and when you do your juices, do you have the same things in all the time? I mean, the cucumber, the celery, the greens, obviously your greens just sort of tend to change around, but that is the basics, isn't it? to keep it green? You don't add in anything, you know, apples, or do you?
I don't.
No.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Lemon or lime.
Yeah, lemon or lime. Yeah. Yeah.
I often say add an apple if you find the taste difficult.
Yeah.
But eventually, it's like now if I'm sometimes, I remember a long time ago getting a juice somewhere, and I said, oh, I really don't want your one with apple in it. Could I have it without? You see, when it arrived, I said, oh, it's got apple in it. They said, no, we didn't use apple. I said, but you didn't wash the juicer. And so you got all the flavor of it. Okay, you know, big deal. But gradually your taste buds change, you know.
A lot more neutral.
Yes. And, you know, juicing too much fruit, or even carrots and beetroots, that if you juice too much of that, it converts to sugar into the bloodstream. Okay, I still believe, I mean, eating carrots and eating beetroot, excellent. A friend and I, we've put a juice together, which includes both, but well over 50% or more, in fact, 75%, I think, is greens. So it's got both. But because the minerals in there are excellent. And but the trouble is, often people juice or blend too much fruit, too much carrots and stuff like that. And it can cause problems. And so, you know, I know people, they love their fruit juices, but often, you know, often some people say, I don't know why, but my stomach's come out. You know, it's usually from the fruit. It's swelling up a bit. And whereas the greens, you've got to remember the greens are giving you energy. That's my coffee, if that makes sense. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea as we know it. Herbal teas, yes. I think they're all fantastic. There's so many different ones. But coffee and tea, I don't drink. But I always joke and say, my greens are my coffee, but it's ongoing. Whereas coffee is a quick fix. And then you come down and think, I must have another one to keep going. And I was never really a coffee or tea drinker. I never liked tea. And people would say, you're from England and you don't like tea. But I wasn't brought up with tea when I was younger. The rest of my family were, but I wasn't. And I think that's probably why. And coffee, I used to drink coffee with somebody a lot, but I'm happy not to have it. You know, I like the smell of it. But there are all these things that we're so used to having, we feel we have to have it all the time. And I mean, I just watch people come back, go down the road. They don't even make it anymore. It's all bought. You know, but there we are. And then if one really wants the coffee, you can get different ones, but it's without caffeine. It's the caffeine which is the problem, and the same in tea. And we need to, our bodies need to get used to things that will give us a natural energy, right? So it's hard to make changes. And, you know, I was addicted to everything. So you know, the juice has helped me the best of all. And then gradually I find then the foods, I'm not craving foods like I do. If I stop the juicing or I stop certain things, then the cravings are going to come back. And it's very hard. Even chocolate is, it might give you a quick fix, but it can affect you also at night, not falling asleep. And yes, if I'm sitting at a show or doing an event and there's a chocolate stand further down, of course I'm going to pop there each day. I'm only human. But I have learned not to have chocolate in the afternoon or at night, because I find it that will affect me. And that, you know, to me, my sleep's important. And the same with, I wouldn't have my juice too late at night because that might give me extra energy.
Yeah. But you see, Jill, don't you find though, because you have cleansed your body and you've done that for so long because of the juicing and not having the meat and the heavy stuff and the carbohydrates and everything, your body's so much cleaner that things like chocolate, or even if you had a coffee, would be like a real shock to the system now, which is why you would almost go into overdrive. So it's much better to stick with that, the clean food, which is really what you're talking about, isn't it?
Yes, but I'm not, as I say, I'm not perfect, but
Of course not, but generally speaking, your body's a lot cleaner than probably most.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree with you there, but even so, I think a lot of people I see, or someone I know who's only takes a little square at night, and then can't sleep.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And so I think it varies with different people, but I still wouldn't encourage it. I make things that taste like chocolate, but don't have chocolate in there. You know.
I think that's the key, isn't it? The key is actually knowing what nutritional foods you can use. I mean, I used to use dates a lot, actually. I quite like dates or date oat cookies, no sugar in it at all.
Yeah, but you see, dates are intense sugar.
Yeah, they are intense. Yeah.
And so really,
a lot.
Having one.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a chocolate craving, have a date.
Yes, I often do that. Yeah. Yeah.
And don't worry, I love that sort of thing as well. But it's a lot of people have been eating too many. And so a lot of people who've become vegans or even turned to raw foods, their teeth were very badly damaged. It was awful. Wow. Still is, because it's eating into the enamel. So, but you don't eat that many. But it's a lot of people turn to that. It's like they'll have nuts, which are have got protein, but they also have a lot of fats. So you're not always receiving the protein, but the people are eating the whole packet every day and then say, it's so expensive. Yes, they are, unfortunately, but that's the problem. I mean, as one of the doctors in the States said, was it Dr. Kulderstein? I think, anyway, he said, the way we should be having, let's say, we should be having the nuts in the shells, because after 2, you won't bother to break anymore. That's enough. It's so easy to put your hand in the bag and take some. I bought yesterday some sunflower seeds, which have already been dried, dehydrated, soaked and dehydrated. And they also had, I think, some sort of dried mushroom in there as well. And I got it in Planet and they were tasty. But do I want the whole bag? Yes, I do. You know, so it's been put at the back. Because my hand kept going into it too much. I wanted to try it and see what it was like. And when I'm recommended to people, it was a very good idea. I think it was by Raw Living. Very nice indeed. But you know, you don't want to start eating the whole bag the whole time, but it's very Moorish. So, you know.
Patricia, did you have it? Because I know you were saying that you wanted to know sort of healthier ways of changing your diet and things for you and Dale. Did you have any questions at all about?
No, I'm picking up a lot of very good suggestions, things that I've thought about, but hearing them from you is really kind of setting it in place as to what needs to be done. And so I'm just looking forward to making some change, and Dale's looking forward to making some changes too. So we're both on the same level with making changes and losing some weight. And you know, and I had told you I've had issues with my teeth, so to be able to have some things that, you know, right now I can't chew very easily, so I have to have soft things. And yeah, I had to, all my back teeth are all gone now because I've had some I had gotten sick. I had told Fiona about this when COVID first started being noticed.
Oh yeah.
I had actually had COVID, and it damaged my teeth really badly. So, and I've had to have a couple of procedures, and I need another one to be done too. So I'm going to be having some false teeth.
Yeah, Patricia, this would be really good then to actually start to look at the diet and to actually see how you can cleanse the body, wouldn't it? So Jill,
Yes.
what would you recommend
I
for?
was going to say, you see the greens, especially if you're adding the juice,
Mm-hmm.
for example, helps the gums.
Okay.
Now, when I last went to the dentist, and sadly he is retired now, he was a fantastic dentist, made you feel very relaxed. And then he'd do something and say, right, go into the waiting room now, I'll just see someone else. And you were talking to other people, so you really were relaxed. I never thought I'd be upset when a dentist retired, because we all are. But anyway, that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, when I last saw him, he said, your mouth is absolutely fine. Yes, I've had things changed, but he said, but your gums, it's your gums which are so healthy. He said, whatever you're doing, stick with it.
Okay.
And I put that down to the green juices, and when I drink fresh wheatgrass,
Mm-hmm.
that obviously would make a big difference. The taste is a matter of taste, but it's changed so many people's lives. And then, when you haven't got fresh, there are some very good powders. I know some in the States, and I know, Got Sprouts, I think they have a whole load of stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously in different countries, or especially the UK, I know what to recommend. There are loads out there, but I know the background of some of them, which makes a big difference over the years. And then I've met the companies per chance. And yes, some of them have got their own label on it, but I also know what's behind that label.
Right.
Okay. And also I take a lot of Sunchlorella. I'm a big fan of Sunchlorella, and I chew those sometimes, but I have to remember to drink something and not wipe my lips, because then I've got green lipstick. But it makes a big difference. And there's just, as I say, certain things I will do hopefully for the rest of my life. Yes, I can think, oh, I don't want to make the juice, I don't want to do it. But once I get into it, it's like, as I said, it's another form of meditation. And it didn't take long today to do it,
Okay.
It's,
As somebody who doesn't want to give up meat,
okay.
I do like having my meat and things. What kind of juices or ratio of meat to juices would you recommend?
Well, I'm very much doing the juice every day, and preferably twice a day.
Right.
Okay. And okay, if you only have one glass at a time, or one mug at a time, a cup, whatever, that's fine. But with your meat, you'll find you'll eat less meat, I think.
I don't eat an awful lot, but I do feel every now and then my body sort of says to me, I really want a big piece of steak, or I want a
because you're craving protein.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
And that's why
But I enjoy it.
I've been there, done that. Meaning, I've been lazy and not made the juice. And as someone said, I can't even be bothered to open the jar. I said, been there, done that. And there's the jar sitting there. It's just sitting. Oh, you've got to take it out of the fridge. Oh, come on, I'm not that lazy. But you just think, oh, gosh. It's because I like things to be, it's routine. Well, that's a routine we have to stick with, And actually, it's been pretty good the last couple of years that we've all had our lives change. And even though I'm home a lot, it's like, I can do it later. It's later and later. And then you don't do it. Whereas if you're rushing out, I watched an Ayurvedic day the other day, last Friday, all day. It was fantastic. Herbs and everything. And I kept thinking, I've been in all day. I haven't been out at all. And then I thought, yes, I'd be in the seminar all day somewhere else, but I would have traveled to get there, traveled to get back, and we might have had to go out somewhere else for lunch or just get there. So I thought it was quite interesting. And yet I did have some juice, but what I'm trying to say is it's things have changed in the last couple of years. It's gone fast. Usually when we're craving meat, we're craving the protein. And remember, and also you'll find even desserts one begins to stop craving in the same way. If you're getting right balance on the main course or with juicing, you can blend as well. You'll see I've got
what would be your recommendation to start as a juice, the first one to sort of be doing and getting used to? What sort of 3 main ingredients would you put in then to sort of maybe stop me craving meat as much?
Well, you can look on the website, my website, which is Jill Swyers, but it's usually you've got your cucumber and celery, and then you've got dark green leaves such as, but I wouldn't do spinach so much.
Really?
But spinach occasionally I've had, but it's higher in oxalic acid. But things like kale, that kale's the easiest one you can usually find, curly kale or whatever. And then any dark green leaves such as I said today, bok choy. There's a whole list of them.
Yeah, I'll look at that.
You know, I don't mean do a whole thing of mint. That's more for flavor, because that is a medicinal herb, so you wouldn't put too much of that in. But I do that for flavor, but it's more what I would call you might like in a salad. Also, I add lettuce, which I'd lost today. I couldn't find it, and I can't believe I've eaten it all. I've been using it through the week, but I didn't think I'd eaten it all. I hope it doesn't turn up somewhere. It's probably at the back of the fridge. But anyway, I put that in because that helps one relax without falling asleep. There's some amazing minerals in there as well. And so I put that in. But there's more. When one just does celery and cucumber, there's no real protein. It's not enough.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Brilliant. Ilya, go for it.
Yes. Okay, I have a few comments and questions. I'm blessed to live in Tuscany and to have not only farmers markets, but I also have people who grow organic and go and find old variety seeds and then grow them. So carrots and apples and so on and so forth. Most of what you find, if you don't look for that, is obviously has been, if you look at the vegetables in the 1800s, they were very, very different from the ones we eat today. And so the sugar content has completely changed.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And I think as consumers, we should encourage our farmers, if we go to a farmer's market, to look for the older varieties. Okay, so I think that's part of our role, actually. I don't think it's just something that's an option, because if sugar is one of our enemies in what we're eating, it's not only eating sugar and anything that has a sugar content in it, but it's also actually what we're starting with. So I'm just.
For farmers, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Farmers markets in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the same in Portugal, the farmers markets are organic.
Mm-hmm.
Without the certificate. Some do have the certificate, but they don't have to have the certificate. But they are part of an association where they're checked upon.
Yeah, but I mean, I completely agree. I don't care whether there's a certificate or not. What is great is when the farmer is wanting to propose different kind of products than what you would find in any vegetable store or supermarket. So one thing to encourage is to say, oh, well, these, are the carrots that people ate before World War I, for instance, because their sugar content is totally different. Okay.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we're in another world now.
Well, it can change. This guy who's done this, he's done it for 3 years here, and he goes all around finding seeds, and it's his passion. So it can change.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, there are two things I'm really interested in. I go by seasonal vegetables. I don't eat cucumbers in the middle of the winter or lettuce. Okay. Because nature tells us what we can have.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is wheatgrass is a fantastic thing. I do question, I mean, I don't know much about it, but I do question if it does come from wheat, you better be careful what wheat you're using.
Okay.
It is.
Just so you know, you don't use the husk. And yes, it's normally organic seeds. It depends on the wheat. But it's basically once it's germinated and growing up, you haven't got the husk with it.
No, that's not the issue.
And it has to be organic.
Yes, I completely agree. It has to be organic, but not only has to be organic, but it cannot be the wheat that is used today. The wheat that was invented, the wheat that was quote unquote invented by Norman Borlaug, which is the wheat that 80% of the wheat that is on the planet, if not 90%, is the one we're eating today, and it's bringing around all the issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, celiac and wheat and gluten intolerant and everything else. If you look at the book by William Davis, a doctor in the US, who shows how the new wheat, which is not even wheat, the gluten that's in that hybrid plant, so to speak, is not recognized by our organism like the wheat, like the gluten from spelt and old wheat.
Okay.
So doing wheatgrass, it would be advisable to have seeds from the older kinds of wheats, because else you're just delaying the problem, but you're going to end up with it, because it can affect not only your digestion and maybe not your digestion, but your brain or your heart.
I totally agree with you. But usually the places we get the wheatgrass seeds from are usually from, you just can't, well, in the UK, you can't buy them in the local stores anyway. They would come through, well, I believe in the UK, where we get ours from, funnily enough, come through Italy. But they're very careful where they get their stuff from. And also, I know the company in the US actually used to buy them from Italy, but not now. I think it's become too complicated. But I agree with you. Wheat and much of the stuff that's out there, sadly, is not the way it was years ago. And also, most people don't know what seasonal means. When I grew up, apples, okay, one thing I know is how apples are kept through the year if you've got the right place for them. Mm-hmm. So we have a company here, I know exactly how they look after their apples. But most things are seasonal. So cucumbers right now you won't find at farmers markets. And I've noticed recently, even less so. And people don't understand that they're only in season in the UK from about June, but they're in the stores the whole time. And they've traveled far and wide, sadly. But it's just the way it is. But people just don't understand. And then when they can't get something, they get very upset. Yeah. And I just say, yes, but there's so much more food in the store. We're not short of food.
I think there's something quite nice about having the seasonal. You know, if we went back to that, which we'll never do, will we? In the supermarket chain stores, that's not going to happen, because obviously it's just not going to happen.
But I don't think they teach children in school about seasonal vegetables.
It's the basics.
So they just grow up expecting everything to be there
all the time,
every month of the year, and they need to start educating children again and getting them to do proper cooking with the ingredients that are available.
Or you grow your own. I mean, years ago, I actually had a plot. I had a double plot. Actually, I used to go down the road with my wheelbarrow. This is when I was pregnant with my eldest. And I used to go down to the plot with all these old guys who were about 80, and I had no idea what I was doing. And they would tell me off, "You can't do it like that, young lady." And I was like, "Bloody hell. That's not a straight line, you know, you have to get the piece of string and measure it properly and plant all along here." But when you grow your own vegetables, you know you can only grow the certain things at certain times of the year. So you understand totally the seasonal scope of what is grown and when you plant it and when you sort of pick it up and whatever else. But that's, you know, if you could teach children that, it would be fantastic, because there's something really special about growing your own veg. It's flipping hard work, but it's something quite special, knowing where it's come from, nurtured it.
Yes.
So it is. And I think actually, from what I can gather, with a lot more people now becoming more conscious about being able to do that. And maybe even if it's just growing things in pots, you know, in a small way, it's better than nothing to have something.
And also, when you grow your own things, you're putting love into that.
Absolutely.
Buy vegetables that have been grown, you know, on farms.
They taste completely different.
They're completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to grow all the potatoes, we grew onions, we did everything. And then you do get fed up with having beans for the next 6 weeks or something. It doesn't, it's not always a bonus. It's like, don't give me another frigging bag of beans. I don't want to see another bean. But there is something very special, because it completely, you don't, I think we're so used to buying what we buy and it being in a certain way that we don't appreciate the full taste of vegetables, particularly because I don't eat meat, haven't done for 25, 30 years. So it's culturally changing the way we see and view, and juicing is such a great thing. I used to do the wheatgrass every day. And then there was one day and I thought, you know what, I can't drink this anymore. I absolutely cannot. I used to buy the trays of it, and then I was like, no, I am done. And I don't think I've drunk it since. Because it's quite an acquired taste, isn't it? It is
It's very acquired taste, but some people like it because it is sweet. It's got a sweet.
Yeah, I get that, but there's just something at the end, and I just like, oh no.
But when I drink it, I'm always glad I've done it.
Yeah, it's great. It's cleansing. It's super cleansing.
And I probably should order some more or grow it. I do grow it. I do teach to grow it.
Yeah, you've got to have the right juicer to be able to juice it properly, because it doesn't juice otherwise.
Very good point. Just so you know, you do need a special juicer for wheatgrass.
Normal juicers, yeah.
And they're different types, and some are easier than others. But I'm very fussy about, I was given 2 new modern upright ones. I sent them straight back, such a waste of money. But they are different juicers. And but I always say to people, everything works. It's better than not at all.
Yes.
If you can splash out for a special type of juicer, that's great. And I've got them. And someone, I found something the other day, someone had shown a picture of a blender, and she said, oh, this was much quicker than the blender. And that was an old one that came my way on Facebook. I'd obviously never seen that. And I thought, yes, it is. But I've already tried to blend when I was lazy not so long ago. I thought, forget it. It's easier to juice. So I've gone in that.
Yeah.
Then I've added one today where I wanted garlic in. I wanted a blended one. So I've done both. I've juiced a load and then threw some juice in, and then threw in the avocado and threw in some garlic and onion.
Yeah, so smoothies is good too. Well, Jill, has anybody else got any other questions? So Jill, what I'd love you to do is to put your website details. I will upload this and put it into the group as soon as it's done. And then just put all your details. So if anyone wants to contact you, and obviously look on your website as to, you know, what recipes or anything there, then people can do that. So has anybody else got any other questions at all? Does that give you all a bit more of a little bit of enthusiasm now to go and change things in the kitchen?
I think the thing for me, living in my motorhome, it's a bit difficult for soaking things and storing things and what have you.
You've got space, yeah.
I haven't really got the space necessarily to do that, but I am motivated to give it a go, and I've got one of those, as you say, expensive, hideous stand-up juicers. I've got a NutriBullet, so I'll give it a go. I'll be a bit more proactive about it.
NutriBullet is a blender.
It's yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. So that's all I've got. I mean, is
Work with it, because if I hadn't got a juicer, I'd be using a blender.
Yeah.
And one time in Portugal, I'd lent all my juices out over there, all two, and it was August time, and I just thought, oh, I'm never going to get those back now. So I blended for 6 weeks.
yeah. Well, I think that's what I'll do. I'll have a go at blending.
All works, right? That's the way I look at things. Yes, some is more nutritious than others, but I'm still here to tell the tale, and that was years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it's and the same as with the one I've made with the garlic and stuff. Okay, it's been blended, so what? I'm still going to be fine. I just do things differently, and I think we just play with all that, and I use the blender for other things. I mean, it's the magic. I've got the magic, not magic mix. What's it called? God, I've had a blank tonight. But I've got extra powerful blenders.
It's just you saying about storing things and soaking things. Because my little kitchen at the back there, I just don't have enough room to be storing and putting things, so.
No, but don't worry now. You might just do one thing and then realize.
Yeah.
Because my first kitchen in Portugal was tiny. When I think, gosh, you remind me of the smallest kitchen I had where I worked for a caterer, for a bank. That's before I had my own business.
It's all I need, though. I don't need any.
4 dining rooms, and it was tiny. How did we do it all? But where there's a will, there's a way. But don't rush into it right now.
Shavona, they do sell online little pots with the right kind of lids to your own sprouting. And I have a friend I used to travel a lot for my work, and I worked for the UN, and I had a friend who went everywhere with her sprouts. She had 2 of these in her suitcase, brought her seeds along, and she did her sprouting wherever she was. You don't need a lot of space.
Oh, fantastic. What do you know what the website is?
She found them on Amazon.
Okay, I'll have a look.
Sprouting jars.
Have a look at Akenbury Sprouts, because they've got a lot of stuff here.
Okay.
So
thank you. Thanks for that, Lilia.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Did you want to say something? I'm going to do that. I'm going to put your.
Yes, so I was just going to say thank you so much, Jill. That was really interesting. I've been to many of your talks and really enjoy every single one of them. So I myself, to those who don't know me, I've been vegan for 24 years. But I don't always eat healthily. I must admit, I really love my vegan burgers, vegan sausages, vegan cheeses, all of those kind of things. And
so do I. but it's what you have to go with it.
yeah well since since your talk last year, I've kind of thought, okay, I've got this vegan burger, but I'm also going to have salad with it, or I'm going to have, and one thing that I have been doing for the past couple of years is I haven't been cooking with oil. And I used to be really overweight, actually, and I went on a sugar-free, I was determined, because my level, what are they called, like the sugar level, the H something or other, I can't remember now, but when you have a blood test at the doctors and they check your sugar levels, my level it wasn't pre-diabetic, but it was just below. So I took it upon myself to actually go sugar-free and to go oil-free, not completely oil-free and not completely sugar-free, because sugar is, pretty much in everything. But I didn't have any added sugar, and I didn't cook with oil. I just water fried food, and I was 73 kilograms, and I lost within a year I lost 20 kilograms. Unfortunately, during lockdown I've gone back up to 63, so I've during the 2-year lockdown I've gained 10 kilos, which is no good
Sorry.
thing. I know, that's not good, that's not good. And I have succumbed to during lockdown I have succumbed to eating vegan chocolate and vegan cakes, not all the time, but I haven't gone back to cooking with oil, yeah, because my taste buds have changed, you know, but both of, you know, like, because I do the main cooking for myself and my husband, and he really likes that that I don't cook with oil, and it, you know, it's just as tasty without oil. But I can't live without my vegan burgers and without my vegan sausages. But I mean, I really need to look at actually perhaps doing juicing myself, because putting on 10 kilos over lockdown isn't good. I know.
If you start, I mean, the friend who in Portugal who bought a juicer off me, then I don't sell them now, but we had it when we were doing a teacher's training, yoga, and her husband brought in all the vegetables, so she decided she was going to have the juice as well, and I was making it. Then she wanted my juicer, and I went, no, we'll get a new one. No, she said, I want yours now, and I'll pay for another one to come out, or something like that. And then, before she got into that, after that, she decided she'd do powders. So Kiki Health Nature's Living Superfoods, to me, is the best. And she did that for 3 or 4 months, then was ready for the fresh. That's when she asked me for my juicer. Didn't want to have to wait. And but we can work with both. But it's getting the right green powder, the right this, the right that. It's understanding what they've been doing with it and not heat treating it and all this sort of thing.
So is wheatgrass powder as good as wheatgrass for juice?
Freshly made is always best. Fresh always best. But wheatgrass powder, but what I recommend is NLS, Nature's Living Superfoods, because it's got different grasses in there. And it's actually put together in the States. I think in the States it's called, greener grasses, I think they called it. I've got the name somewhere. But here it's Nature's Living Superfood, like Kiki Health.
What is your, if you had to recommend one juicer, forget the price, what would be your number one juicer?
And I had a picture of it here today. It's if not, I'll put it online tomorrow or add to wherever I can. It's because they've changed names, because I still have my Oscar. Put it this way, the best one would be, I'm sorry, I've got a blank. It's the Angela. It's called the Angel. It's the Angel juices. Those are the best. Okay. But they are the most expensive, but they are the best. And then there's various other ones which I'm happy I can put them up tomorrow or organize them for those that are interested. Is it's getting used to using them. It's like using the old mincers.
Oh yeah.
They did have the hand ones, but the thing, and they all do wheatgrass. I mean, the hand ones have always been the best for wheatgrass, but that's the way it is. But the ones that are most popular, I notice a lot of people have been buying them, is the Angel juices. But do not, if you live in the States, and obviously you buy within the States, do not buy your machines from the States when having them in Europe. Because they all say, yes, you can use them in Europe. No, you can't, because they probably would send you one of theirs, which then needs, it's not just an adapter or a new plug or whatever. It's too complicated.
No. And I know because I'm half French, half American. So believe me, I know.
Well, we've got plenty in Europe, plenty in the UK.
Okay, what we have here in the UK and in Europe that I'm interested in.
And also, I know the company, I have to think now, I know they send them from Southern Ireland. There's a company there who have them, and they know all about the foods, and they've got plenty of stuff there. But I think they sell them too.
Brilliant.
I'm just saying, making it easier. But I know we have them in the UK. So,
well, Jill, if you don't mind, if you've got a bit of a list with, of ones that you would recommend, that would be really good, because I'm sure, other people in the group will be quite happy to sort of look, because I know there's such a massive range of qualities and prices and goodness knows what.
And I'll just say one thing.
Yeah.
We have twin gears and single gears.
Mm-hmm.
The twin gears are the better machines, but they can be slower. Single gears are slightly faster, but it obviously doesn't juice as fine.
It's tightly, yeah.
Some people put it in through a sieve. I don't worry about that. I've got both, but I have to admit I'm using the single gear at the moment. And I did have the Angel, but it was one of their first. And now they've made them so beautifully that I wish I had that one. But, we go with what we've got. So, yes, I will do that. If it's not tomorrow, it'll
whenever you can, Jill, that'd be great, because I think it's always great, because it's actually gets very confusing when you look and you Google juices, and it's just like a massive range. So there's someone who's got the experience.
Me as well. I'll be happy to go through it.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Just call me on WhatsApp.
Brilliant.
And I'll always take, well, as long as I know it's you. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I love to speak.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you so much. I think we've got some little tips there. Can start getting your marbles thinking in a different way about green juices and no cucumbers for the next 5 months at least.
But don't worry, you'll find them.
I know, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. But no, Jill, that's great. It's really, it's really good to actually just put it back into our minds, because I used to be absolutely paranoid when my boys were younger. I was that nutty mother, used to go around in the Sainsbury's and I'd be checking on every can and every packet about what was in there. And if it had sugar, if it had toxins or any preservatives, I didn't buy it. I was honestly, and my kids were actually pretty much vegan. They didn't even know what meat was.
Lovely.
Which now my eldest has always been a meat eater actually, but he didn't even know. They wouldn't, and that was not my choice. They stopped drinking milk when they were very, very young. My eldest stopped drinking milk when my others was born at 20 months. They just didn't want it. So it's really good to have the reminder, because I have actually slipped out of a lot of my really good habits that used to follow me, have not been following me quite as much recently. So I really appreciate it. It's good to have, this sort of like, let's get back into really looking at what we're actually putting into our body, because it does have a massive effect.
It's always good to connect. And
absolutely.
Have a country, like if Patricia, wanted someone in the States. I mean,
yes.
There are link with different countries, obviously, but there are people I can put you in touch with who might be of help. Mainly because I, knew them so well. They might not be in your area, but they might be closer to home.
That would be good. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Where are you? I've forgotten.
I'm in Massachusetts, so I'm about 70 miles from Boston.
All right. Right. Okay. Yeah.
All right, girls. Well, thank you so much, Jill. If anyone's got any other questions, just put them underneath the in the comments when I upload this video, because I'm sure Jill will come back, or put a thing out. Then you can bring your green juices in. Let's have a look what you're making, and your sprouts.
I didn't think I'd be getting onto the juices tonight. I thought, no, I'll just talk now, you know. And
Yeah.
somehow, of course,
It always comes back to juices. It's great. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining. And also anyone watching on the replay, if you've got any questions, and of course, ask away.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll see you all soon. Thank
nice
you.
to see you tonight.
Bye.
Bye.